Welcome back. The government will need to strengthen its tax collection efforts this year following a yawning tax revenue shortfall that occurred last year. The tax office collected 1.33 quadrillion rupiah in tax revenue last year, or 84.4% of the full year target, slowing down in tax revenue, causing a shortfall of 245.5 trillion rupiah, the worst in at least the last 5 years. Sluggish global growth caused contractions in manufacturing industry and the mining sector that reduced their tax contribution by 1.8% and 19% year-on-year, respectively. Referring to slow growth in tax revenue collection in the first 4 months of 2019, the Center for Indonesia Taxation Analysis, or CITA, once projected the country will collected 1.4 quadrillion, or about 88.9% of the 1.56 quadrillion targets this year. CITA Executive Director Justinus Prastowo cited slow economic growth as the reason for the slow growth in tax revenue collection. Although the realization of revenue last year indicated a widening shortfall, the government said that it may be caused by the weakening of global economy, which affected domestic conditions, causing commodity prices to weaken. Not to mention about the problem of trade wars between the United States and China, and also Brexit. In this segment, I would like to present to you some data about Indonesia's tax revenue performance. The first data will be about the performance of tax revenue in 2019. It was targeted to reach 1,577.6 trillion rupiah, but it was, the number of the tax realization in 2019 can only reach 1,232.1 trillion rupiah. This one is taken from the Directorate General of Taxation's data. By the end of 2019, the government was on high alert over a possible increase in tax shortfall, as the economic slowdown was likely to continue until the end of the year. Sluggish economic growth since the beginning of last year has begun to hurt the government's tax revenue, which contributes the larger part of the state budget. According to data provided by the Finance Ministry from January to August 2019, the government raised 801.16 trillion rupiah, or $56.84 billion in tax revenue, which only accounts for 50.78% of the tax revenue target in 2019 state budget. The figure only showed a 0.21% increase from that collected during the same period last year, during which tax revenue had risen 16.52%. And how about targeted amount of tax shortfall in 2019? Let's see the next graphic. The targeted amount of shortfall by government predicted to reach the number only 140 trillion rupiah, but this shortfall realization in 2019 reached more than that, which was 245 trillion rupiah. Although all types of taxes recorded positive growth, their increases were still much lower than that in previous years. Income tax receipts, for example, only grew 10.6% year-on-year, which was lower than the 16.4% in August, or in January to August last year. Meantime, for value-added tax, or VAT, which contributed to 20.9% of the country's tax revenue, recorded negative growth of 6.5% year-on-year, while the collection of import tax decreased 6% year-on-year from January to August. Finance Minister Sri Mulyani said that sluggish tax revenue from January to August indicated signs of a decline in the country's economic growth, which resulted in both individuals and corporations paying less taxes compared to same period in 2017 and 2018. So how about Indonesia's tax realization year by year from 2015? Let's see the trend. This is the percentage of tax realization in the last 5 years, 2015, as you can see. Oh, okay. We're going to take the number in 2016. 81.6%, 2017 89.7%, in 2018 92.4%, and in 2019 84.4%. Oh, in 2015 the percentage of tax realization only reached 82%. Tax revenue of ASEAN countries affecting the growth on economy in the region. Data from the first half of 2019 indicates it has been slower than forecasted. The most recent Asian Development Bank or ADB's data suggests that Southeast Asia has grown less than anticipated, resulting in slight downward revisions to growth forecast, which now stand at 4.8% in 2019 and 4.9% in 2020. Down from 4.9% and 5% respectively. Meanwhile, regional inflation for 2019 expected to fall 2.4% from the previous forecast of 2.6%. And what are the reasons of the slowing down of Indonesia's tax revenue in 2019? We're going to see the next data. The first reason is the fluctuative price of commodities and slowdown in trade performance. And then tax discount as incentives, which is government gave a lot of incentive in 2019. And then the next one is delaying in e-commerce tax collection and minimum data exploitation. Towards the slowing down in tax revenue, Finance Minister Sri Mulyani Indrawati said there is an optimism in the price of commodity this year, which may help the government to achieve its 2020 tax revenue target. And however, she did not dismiss the possibility that global turmoil may happen again. Fluctuations in commodity prices will make tax revenue from the oil and gas sector and mining sector to be negative. The two sectors will determine the amount of several types of taxes, income tax and value-added tax or VAT. And how about government strategy to improve tax revenue performance in 2020? Let's see the next data. This is the list of the strategies that will be implemented by government to achieve the 2020 tax target. The first one, initiating the use of communities number ID as common identifier. Law enforcement, improvement on core tax system, conducting holistic evaluation and expanding tax base after tax amnesty. And the Directorate General of Tax has several instruments to increase tax revenue, such as the exchange of financial information data or automatic exchange of information data of more than 1 billion rupiah and data from third parties. In 2020, the tax office will use the instruments as a basis to expand the number of taxpayers. And good luck for this year's tax performance. Stay tuned on Market Headlines because we'll be right back after the break.